When I was 17, I had big dreams, just like most teenagers. I was doing okay in school, thinking about my future, and felt like I had everything under control. But then, one night, something happened that really shook me. I was lying in bed, supposed to be studying for a big exam the next day, but instead, I was glued to my phone, scrolling through social media. I kept telling myself, just one more minute. But those minutes turned into hours. Before I knew it, it was 3 a.m. I knew I should have stopped, but I couldn't. The next morning, I woke up feeling terrible. My head was pounding, my eyes were burning, and I was so tired I could barely think straight. When I got to the exam, it was like my mind was completely blank. I couldn't remember anything I had studied. My hands were shaking, and I just sat there, staring at the paper, knowing I had messed up. I failed that exam, and it hit me hard. I realized I had let myself get trapped by my own bad habits, trapped by distractions, trapped by my phone, and now trapped by failure. But here's the thing. This kind of thing happens to a lot of people.
One of the things that I see holding people back is comfort. It's easy to get life to a stage where it's not that bad, but it's not that good either. At least when you have a full-on breakdown, there's only one way to go. You're only going to go up from there. But I think it's possible to wallow for years in a just about passable life, sedated by comfort.
Maybe it's happened to you too. Did you know that the average person spends over 3 hours a day on their phone, doing things that don't really matter? That's over 1,000 hours a year, just wasted. And it's not just about the time. It's about losing focus, losing discipline, and missing out on opportunities. This really happened to me, and it's happening to others every day. But it doesn't have to be like this. In this video, I'm going to share a simple formula that I learned in the last 7 years in only 15 to 20 minutes that helped me from a teenager who failed an important exam to be full-time in the corporate world and doing YouTube as a passion on the side. This isn't just some random advice. It's the real deal, something I've lived through and tested. Let's begin the video.
Everybody has a turn back moment. You have a moment where you could go forward or you can give up. But the thing you have to keep in mind before you give up is that if you give up, the guarantee is it will never happen. That's the guarantee of quitting, that it will never happen no way under the sun. The only way the possibility remains that it can happen is if you never give up no matter what.
Why do so many people fail? Why do so many of us, even with the best intentions, end up stuck, feeling like we're just going through the motions? Have you ever set a goal and felt super motivated at first, but then, as time went on, that motivation just faded away? You find yourself slipping back into old habits, putting things off, and before you know it, that goal is just a distant memory. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone, because this is the reality for most people. I know this because I lived it. There was a time when I felt like I was stuck in a loop, starting things with enthusiasm, only to lose steam and fall back into the same old patterns. And it wasn't just me. Everywhere I looked, I saw the same thing happening to others. People around me were doing the bare minimum, just getting by, distracted by anything that came their way. It was like we were all trapped in a cycle of mediocrity, chasing after quick fixes and temporary pleasures, instead of doing what really mattered. And here's a harsh truth. We're living in a world that's designed to keep us distracted. Think about it. How often do you reach for your phone, scroll through social media, or binge watch another show, even when you know you should be working on something important? The average person spends over 3 hours a day on their phone, doing things that add zero value to their lives. That's over 1,000 hours a year just thrown away. And it's not just the time that's lost. It's the focus, the discipline, and the opportunities that slip away. There's a verse in the Bible that hits hard. No discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it. That's Hebrews 12 verse 11. And it's so true. Discipline is hard. It's uncomfortable. But without it, we're just floating, getting pushed around by whatever catches our attention at the moment. But why is this so important? Because without discipline, without focus, you will never reach your full potential. You will never achieve the things you dream of. The formula I'm about to share is what helped me break free from this cycle. Here's where the simple formula comes in. This formula is what helped me break out of that cycle. It's what took me from feeling like I was constantly failing to actually make progress and achieve my goals. The formula has 3 parts: discipline, focus, and consistency. Let's start with discipline. Now, I know that word can be a turnoff. It sounds tough, maybe even harsh. But here's the reality. Without discipline, you have nothing. Discipline is about doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. It's about showing up, day in and day out, no matter what. Most people don't have discipline because they don't want to be uncomfortable. They'd rather stay in their comfort zones, even if it means never getting anywhere. But here's a fact. Studies show that people who practice discipline regularly are far more likely to succeed in any area of life. Why? Because they don't let their feelings dictate their actions. They know that real success requires sacrifice, and they're willing to make it. As you heard the line, the great power comes with a great responsibility. Next is focus. Now, how many things are competing for your attention every single day? Your phone, social media, TV, people around you. All of these distractions are pulling you in a million different directions. If you're not focused, you'll never hit your target. You'll be too busy chasing after whatever shiny thing catches your eye. But here's something to consider. People who set clear goals and eliminate distractions are 42% more likely to achieve their goals. That's nearly half. So, if you want to be in that 42%, you need to narrow your path. You need to cut out the noise and zero in on what really matters. And finally, consistency. This is the glue that holds everything together. It's not enough to be disciplined and focused for a week or two. You need to keep going, even when it's hard, even when you don't see results right away. I remember a time in my life when I was struggling with this very thing. I had set a goal for myself, something I was deeply passionate about, but after a few weeks, the excitement wore off. The results weren't coming as quickly as I'd hoped, and I started to lose motivation. I thought about giving up more times than I can count. But then, I remembered why I started. I reminded myself that nothing worth having comes easy. I pushed through the doubt and the frustration and kept going day after day. And slowly, things began to change. The progress was small at first, almost invisible, but it was there. And eventually, those small steps led to something bigger than I ever imagined. Consistency isn't glamorous, and it's often the hardest part of any journey. But looking back, I realized that it was the key to everything I achieved. It wasn't talent or luck. It was the simple decision to keep showing up, to keep putting in the work, even when it felt like nothing was happening. So, there it is. Discipline, focus, consistency. That's the formula. It's simple, but it's not easy. Most people will never follow it because it requires hard work and sacrifice. But before you jump in, there's one more thing you need to know. This formula only works if you're ready to use it before. I truly want to tell you something, guys. I'm new on YouTube, and I don't know about any algorithm rules or anything. I just paid my editor and thumbnail designer and didn't want any money from you. But deep in my mind, I have a request to you. It really takes me hours to showcase my life journey in the form of videos to teach you something very valuable that will help you to succeed. So could you please show me some love and support by subscribing to the channel and sharing the video with your loved ones and with your buddies? Now, most people fail because they aren't consistent. They get excited about something new, dive in headfirst, and then lose interest when it gets tough or when they don't see immediate results. They jump from one thing to another, looking for the next quick fix, the next magic bullet. But here's the thing, there is no magic bullet. Success is built brick by brick, day by day, through consistent effort. Let's talk about the numbers. Research shows that people who stick with their goals consistently over time are far more likely to succeed than those who are inconsistent. In fact, a study found that consistent goal setting and follow-through can increase your chances of success by as much as 80%. That's a massive difference. It's not about making giant leaps. It's about making small, steady steps forward every single day. And I'll be honest with you, consistency isn't glamorous. It's not always exciting. There will be days when you don't feel like doing the work, when it feels like you're not making any progress at all. I've been there. I've had days where it felt like I was just spinning my wheels, not getting anywhere. But those are the days that matter the most. Those are the days when you need to dig deep and keep going, because over time, those small efforts add up. But before we wrap this up, there's one final piece of the puzzle that ties everything together, a mindset that can make or break your success. So here we are, at the end of this journey, but let me ask you, how serious are you about changing your life? We've talked about discipline, focus, and consistency, but none of it means anything if you're not ready to put it into action. Let me be real with you. This isn't about quick fixes or overnight success. This is about building something that lasts, something that makes you look back one day and say, I did that. I made that happen. But here's the hard truth. Most people won't do it. Most people will hear this, nod along, and then go back to their old habits, their old ways of thinking. And that's why 99% of people never reach their full potential. And remember, this is just the beginning. The real work starts now. But if you stick with it, if you commit to this formula, I promise you, things will change. So if you're ready for this, then comment, I will make the things happen. And we'll see you on the next video. Bye.